So if I have learned anything being on the internet for many, many years, well, it's a simple fact that you're not allowed to have an opinion. So when I show you my top 10 favorite supercars in GTA Online, you gotta do one thing for me. Shit talk me in the comments like there's no tomorrow. Anyway, I do hope you enjoyed this video. So starting in no particular order, the first supercar on this list is going to be the Adder. Now this vehicle has always had a special place in my heart because it was the first supercar that GTA Online had ever seen. It actually released with the game, and I never really see this car anymore. And it is kind of for good reason. It's old. It has like no customizations. It's not that fast, but still, it's just nostalgic. I love this car so much. It looks really nice, like the curves and all that. Now, for some reason, the speed feels like it was much faster than it used to be. I do know that recently, or not really recently, but kind of in the past few years, there was a couple of vehicles that got buffed for being really slow. I do know one of them being the Zentorno, and that's really the only vehicle I remember being buffed. I know there was a couple more, but I think the Adder might have actually fallen in that category. But who knows, man? I really don't know, but I still love the Adder very much. Next up, we have the Deveste Eight, or I think it might actually be called the Deveste Eight. I'm not entirely sure for the name, though. Now, this vehicle is kind of infamous. It actually is a real-life car, like most vehicles in GTA are, but it was kind of rumored to have like 5,007 horsepower in real life, and no one actually knows if it's true or not. No one knows how fast this car is. But in GTA Online, this car is phenomenal. It is about $1.7 million. Just about, and its performance is very, very, very good for its price tag. I think when it released, it was one of the fastest cars in the game, if not the fastest, and it is still a very, very quick car. I do think if you're on next gen and get the HSW upgrades, this is the fastest car in the entire game. Again, I don't really know though because I don't have a new gen console, but other than that, the car looks phenomenal. It is kind of a very long car, but I mean, that's just the design of it. Can't do much about that. It doesn't have too many customizations. All it's really got is a livery, a spoiler, and that's really it. Of course, you can change the wheels too, but for a car with this price tag and this performance, definitely worth buying. Now the Furia, I'm not really sure how to say the name of this car. I wasn't even sure if I was going to put it on the list because I don't really care too much about the car. I just really like how it looks, and that's really the extent of it. I don't believe this car has too many customizations. I do like the look of it, as I said, as a pop-up spoiler when you drive it fast enough, and that's kind of where it goes. I don't think it's really that fast. I think its handling is alright, but definitely not a car I'd go out of my way to buy, but still looks really nice, so I had to put it on this list. So originally, the Ignus, which is the next vehicle up, wasn't even supposed to be in this video until I saw how I had it customized. I don't remember ever putting this livery, respray, wheels, or spoiler on this vehicle at all. But once I saw the look of it, I knew I had to include it in this video because I just couldn't resist it. Now this vehicle does have a hefty price tag of about 2.7 million. Definitely not cheap at all, but I would say that it's probably worth it because of how well it performs. Now it is a very large vehicle, so I guess that could be a downside. I mean, I personally find it like a downside because it's just too big of a vehicle for me to drive, but it's a very, very quick. Its handling is very, very good. And if you're on the new gen consoles, for some reason you can get a weaponized Ignus. It has like a gun on top of it. I mean, a Lamborghini with a gun on top of it sounds kind of goofy, and it is kind of goofy. I kind of wish I was able to get that, but unfortunately I do not, and that is really it for the Ignus. It's just quick, big, and that doesn't sound good out of context. The LM87 is definitely going to be the most expensive vehicle on this list with a price tag of $2.9 million, but I definitely think it's justified. In the gameplay, you might notice that the speedometer in this vehicle is maxing out all the way at 200 miles an hour, and I don't believe that's actually a lie in this game. Most vehicles max out at 120. Newer vehicles will actually max out at like 140, 160. This one just doesn't care. And the reason for why it goes so fast is because it utilizes something called curb boosting really, really well. And the simplest explanation I can give to that is in GTA, if your car changes in elevation as you're on the street, if you go up like curbs, if the road is bumpy, your vehicle will start gaining speed rapidly. And this car, for some odd reason, if you're just simply driving on a road, it can be flat, it just starts curb boosting like no one's business. I think that's because the car is extremely low to the ground, so it is constantly changing in elevation to get that speed all the time. Now, other than it being extremely fast, I also just really like the look of it. It's one of the very few cars that got added to the game, and it's a proper race car, a proper track car, whatever you want to call it. And that's kind of a rarity in the game. And not only that, it actually comes with racing slicks on the stock wheels, which is amazing. Unfortunate downside is with every vehicle, you can't change the color of the stock wheels for some reason. So it's kind of hard to keep the stock wheels while making it look nice in the same time, which kind of sucks because if you change the wheels on it, it's going to look really goofy. And that's kind of it for the LM87. Other than that, it doesn't have a whole lot of customization. It's just very fast and looks really nice. I do believe my favorite looking car in the entire game is the Nero. It is very obvious it's a Bugatti Chiron. I think everyone kind of knows what a Bugatti Chiron is now. Now, there is one thing that Rockstar did wrong, and that is the brake calipers and the rear wheels for some reason clip through the rims. I don't know why this happens, but it does. It just sucks. But other than that, this car is phenomenal. I think when it came out, it was the fastest vehicle in its time and its release and all that kind of stuff. And it just looks so close to its real-life counterpart. And I think that's why I like it so much. Of course, Rockstar can't do a 1-to-1 ratio of a vehicle in the game because then they might get sued for that or something like that. But, you know, they did really well with this. And since it's a Benny's vehicle, it has so much customization to it and you can just do so much with it that you're going to get a lot out of it. Next up, we do have the T20, which from my memory is the very first car that looked its closest to the real-life counterpart. I mean, I think Rockstar did a phenomenal job for a vehicle that got added really early in the game, and it actually does have a special place in my heart because this was one of the only vehicles that got added in the very last update of Story Mode, which kind of is unfortunate that Story Mode no longer got updated. And I just loved this car. I remember when it came out, I was so hyped to see it and I really wanted to get it. And of course, I had no money and all the game really had to offer was heist. So it was extremely hard to even get the money to buy it, which was $2.2 million at the time. That was a hefty price tag. And I think now it's a really average vehicle, not too much customization that it has. It has like maybe a front splitter and that's all you can really do to it. It got no spoiler options, no liveries, no nothing. Just respray wheels and that's all you really got. Of course, it does have the pop-up spoiler in the back when you go fast enough, like the real-life McLaren does. That's it. Its speed is okay, but that's really all we got for the T20. I do feel like a broken record saying this, but the Tempesta, which is also another very realistic looking vehicle, I also love the looks of this car. And I'm just going to say this now. It is not fast. It is not the greatest handling vehicle ever. It's just really good looking. It has a lot of customization. You can put like a huge splitter on it, a huge spoiler on it, a huge bumper on it, whatever you want to do. It's just an insane looking car. And it does have a price tag of $1.3 million, so it is relatively cheap for what kind of car it is. I think it did come out at a time where vehicles were very expensive, so it was kind of a rarity to see that. And that's really it for the Tempesta. It's just not fast, not good handling, it's just good looking. That's really it. Now, the opposite of the Tempesta, which is, let me give this a shot. Torero XO. The new Countach in real life. This vehicle, very good looking, and it's very fast. I think my favorite thing about this entire car, not even the speed, not even the wheels, not the livery, it's actually the rear exhaust. You can put a twin turbo bumper delete on this car. I love vehicles that can do this in this game, and it looks really good. Some people might think that it doesn't look good because why would you take your bumper off and then have twin turbos just sticking out? And it just looks nice. And this car is extremely quick as well. I think it can get all the way up to 160 miles an hour if you're doing like the curb boosting technique I mentioned earlier. I think it does have a hefty price tag of like $2.7 million or $3.2 million, somewhere in that range. It is pricey. Very pricey. It's definitely worth it though. Don't look over this car if you see it at one point or another. Now we are finally on to the very last vehicle, and I bet not a lot of people are going to expect this to be on the list, which is the Vagner. Now this has a relatively cheap price tag of $1.6 million, I believe. I think it's very close to that, and it's just a very good performing car. It's very quick, its handling is one of the best in the game, and the stock wheels have racing slicks on them. You just can't change the color like you always can't on every single car. And it's kind of similar to the LM87. It's just not as fast, not as good as handling. It's just, I guess, a worse version of that car. But it's still amazing. I mean, it's half the price of the LM87. So if you want to get this, I would say that it's a must-buy supercar in the game because it's just amazing all around. You're going to get the full package here. It's great. Now, if you did enjoy seeing my opinion on supercars and GTA Online, let me know in the comments, I guess, if you want, or leave a like or subscribe. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. Please help me. I want that. But if you got any ideas for what kind of video I should make next, a top 10, it could be like sports cars, muscle cars, whatever you want to see, let me know in the comments. I would love to hear it. And that's the end of the video. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out. I love every single one of you.